Kevin Stefanski feels like his job may be on the line?
I don't concern myself with outside type of things. But I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better. And that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
And so you didn't get this man a fighting chance to compete. He went into a gunfight with 2 knives. He gonna lose that every time.
You know you're going to waive Tyler Huntley. So what good did that 2-minute drive do for him? Was it going to help him? Don't you think Shedeur would have benefited more from a 2-minute drive than Tyler Huntley?
Coach Kevin Stefanski looks like he's backing off, and the heat is clearly on him and the Browns to make a call. After the game, several offensive linemen who'd been on the field with Shedeur Sanders were waived, and a few players had their deals terminated. The blowback was immediate, forcing Stefanski to explain his handling of Shedeur's snaps, especially why he pulled him before the 2-minute hurry-up, a situation many felt fit the rookie perfectly. Stefanski didn't sound convincing. Under obvious pressure, he said he put Tyler Snoop Huntley in for the final 2 minutes to get him tuned up. He looked rattled delivering it, still pushing the idea that Huntley needed that work. Let's be real, Huntley was an emergency pickup when injuries piled up. He's a stopgap, unlikely to stick on the 53, and yet Stefanski used that moment to sit Shedeur. The message in his tone was hard to miss. He knows the choice isn't playing well, and the whole approach around Shedeur Sanders is already blowing back on the staff. Before we go deeper into Stefanski's full comments and what they mean going forward, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more updates. As for the decision itself, the head coach's shaky explanation only highlighted how tense things have become. Framing the move as a tune-up for Huntley doesn't track with the stakes or with Shedeur's development timeline. It looks less like a plan and more like a scramble, and it's starting to backfire.
And did you, I'm sure you kind of answered this last night, but why didn't you keep him in for the 2-minute, or why did you decide to take him out?
Yeah, nothing more than decided to give Snoop.
TJ Houshmandzadeh, the former NFL wideout, didn't mince words about Kevin Stefanski's handling of Shedeur Sanders. He said that in all his years around the league, he's never seen a coach appear so uninterested in a player's success. To Houshmandzadeh, Stefanski's choices look personal, like there's a grudge against Shedeur, and that's what he finds most troubling. TJ Houshmandzadeh called the bias blatant and cautioned that, if it's real, the push on the Browns to dismiss Kevin Stefanski will only intensify.
The fans gonna be saying, Shedeur our quarterback. Shedeur should be our starter. Shedeur should be the guy that starts game 1, week 1. Look what he did. They didn't want that to happen. And I don't know what's going on with Kevin Stefanski. It's almost as if, and I don't even want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
And that's exactly how it came across. Kevin Stefanski's body language said plenty. He looked like a coach feeling the axe over his shoulder. TJ Houshmandzadeh added that this isn't the first time Shedeur Sanders has been treated this way. He pointed to the opening preseason game, where Shedeur was sharp, yet Stefanski offered no real praise. Now, after what unfolded yesterday, it looks like Stefanski is pushing the idea that Shedeur was at fault, almost as if he's trying to validate the staff's stance that they were right and Sanders was wrong. TJ even suggested it felt like the situation was engineered from the start to make Shedeur come up short.
Well, like when he played well the first game, he was so off-putting, like, oh yeah, well, we'll see what happens next. Like, he played great, man. He exceeded our expectations. He didn't say none of that. And
Right.
So to me, it's as if they want him to fail so they can justify doing what they want to do.
And Houshmandzadeh's red holds up. From the very first preseason outing, Kevin Stefanski's slant felt apparent. Even after Shedeur Sanders put together an impressive, mistake-free showing, Stefanski declined to highlight him, retreating to broad comments about developing all the quarterbacks and skimming past Shedeur's standout work. It didn't come across as genuine buy-in on Shedeur's future in Cleveland. Now the spotlight is squarely on Stefanski, who seemed intent on easing Shedeur towards the margins. Ironically, the coach looks more vulnerable than the rookie. After weeks of rigid messaging and thin criticism, he's suddenly pivoting, saying they'll concentrate on developing Shedeur Sanders. An about-face that screams pressure from the fan base. And it isn't only fans. Reporters and analysts are pressing him as well. Emmanuel Acho weighed in, arguing that by placing Shedeur with an offensive group filled with players unlikely to make the 53, Stefanski engineered a no-win evaluation. Acho's point was straightforward. Even a quarterback with Tom Brady's resume would have struggled in that setup with that caliber of support. In those conditions, any rough patches for Shedeur were predictable, an indictment of the context, not the quarterback.
The COVID year, so it gave everybody an extra year if you wanted it.
Understandable. But listen, it's
What the chat say? The chat. Well, who the chat believe he took a shot or no?
Let me look in the chat. I ain't even open my phone. Hold on. I'm curious to see what the chat would think. They are saying
Hushman Zeta's take still holds. From the first preseason snap, Kevin Stefanski's slant felt obvious. Even after Shedeur Sanders delivered a crisp, mistake-free showing, Stefanski sidestepped any real credit, defaulting to broad talk about developing all the quarterbacks and skating past Shedeur's standout work. It didn't read like genuine buy-in on Sanders' future in Cleveland. Now the spotlight has swung to Stefanski, who looked intent on easing Shedeur to the edges of the plan. Ironically, the coach seems more vulnerable than the rookie. After weeks of rigid messaging and thin critiques, he's suddenly pivoting, saying they'll focus on developing Shedeur Sanders. A shift that screams fan pressure. And it isn't only the fan base. Reporters and analysts are pressing him too. Chad Okosinko weighed in, arguing that by sticking Shedeur with an offensive group filled with fringe or soon-to-be-waived players, Stefanski set up a no-win evaluation. Ochocinco's point was straightforward. Even a quarterback of Tom Brady's caliber would have struggled in that environment with that level of support. In those circumstances, any rough patches for Shedeur were predictable, an indictment of the setup, not the quarterback. Chad Ochocinco warned that the chorus of team-friendly critics would soon start branding Shedeur Sanders a bust, reducing him to fifth-string status, and the real problem would get ignored. Kevin Stefanski put Shedeur in a no-win setup. Despite growing backlash, Ochocinco argued this all looks like a coordinated effort to drag Shedeur down, with more energy spent tearing him apart than acknowledging why he struggled. He was right about the setup, but wrong about the Browns skating by. Fans are loudly calling for Stefanski's job over what they view as clear bias towards Shedeur Sanders, and that pressure is only intensifying. Skip Bayless also weighed in, blasting Cleveland's approach as the worst way to handle a young quarterback. He pointed to a recurring pattern. Shedeur has been consistently mishandled by Stefanski and by the organization, and that this isn't a one-off misstep. In Bayless's view, Sanders hasn't been given a fair runway or the right support, and the way the team has managed him has only piled on the pressure, making it even harder for him to succeed.
I'm outraged, I'm sickened, and I'm saddened. By the way, Shedeur continues to be treated in the National Football League now by those sorry-ass Browns and sorry-ass Kevin Stefanski.
Given how this has played out with Shedeur Sanders, it's hard to escape the sense he was put behind the 8-ball from the start. When he made his first preseason start, Stephen A. Smith said the Browns were setting Shedeur up to fail, and recent events only strengthen that take. Between the lack of meaningful first-team reps and a string of puzzling play calls, the context never looked built for growth. At this point, the pattern makes his setbacks feel less like natural growing pains and more like the product of an environment that was never set up for him to succeed.
Was out there, I talked to Denzel Ward.
Yep.
I talked to some. Wait, I can't say the name. But anyway, I done talked to some people. He looked different. There's a difference when that young bull is out there spinning that ball. You hear me? Mm-hmm. Difference. I'm talking about football. I ain't talking about no media and all that hoopla and all them. On Twitter they putting up the numbers. Some he was 10 for 12 for 2 touchdowns. I'm talking about when he's at the helm, he looks different. Whether he's going with the first team, second team, or third team, it don't matter.
From being buried on the depth chart as a fourth stringer to suddenly becoming a standout on the second team, Shedeur Sanders just pulled off the most impressive quarterback comeback since Tom Brady made the world believe he wasn't finished at 40.
What is it going to take for you to just buy in to Shedeur Sanders when players all around him are telling you how different he looks, how good he looked, how he just has that aura to him? Because it seems like all the players that are around Shedeur Sanders have nothing but great things to say about him and love him. Because again, he clearly just looks different than the rest of the competition that we've seen. And like I said, the last time I've seen guys go for or say things about a certain player like that, it was Baker Mayfield. So could 12 be that guy? How long until we see 12? Because I feel like it's just a matter of...
The same haters who were cheering when he got dropped to fourth string are now scrambling for excuses faster than a glitchy Wi-Fi during the Super Bowl. Get ready, because this isn't just a step up on the depth chart. It's a serious reality check that's got the critics choking on their own words with a big helping of humble pie.
Being said, I see some balls coming out of Shedeur Sanders at that game, and I'm like, kind of looks like a guy.
Yeah, I'm reading.
He can sling it.
I see him, some of the veterans, how they talk to him, mic'd up, see what he's doing in the community.
Yep. Talking about Njoku there?
Njoku, Mike Knapp. Yeah, once you see, different little interactions and things like that, I know he has the talent. We'll see. It'll be a competition that usually brings the best out of guys, especially young guys. So I'm interested to see how that quarterback situation.
I've heard he's been outstanding.
The Cleveland Browns training camp just turned into the most talked about event in town. All thanks to Shedeur Sanders, who took his spot as fourth string and used it as motivation for one of the most impressive rises the NFL has seen in years. While everyone was busy counting him out and calling his career dead, Sanders was quietly putting together a performance so good that coaches are saying they haven't witnessed anything like it in the last 15 years.
Drafted in the 5th round, all that means nothing when it's time to play football and that whistle blows. He looks different than the rest of the competition. That's what I heard. And I'm talking from a not Brother Ward, I'm just talking about from sources that's in that room, that's on that field, that's playing the sport. Man, come on, man.
Yep, coaches with decades of experience are honestly scratching their heads, trying to figure out how someone goes from being a practice squad afterthought to seriously competing for a starting spot in just a few weeks.
Thing is, they never planned on taking him. The problem is, like Ocho Cinco said, you got somebody that has endeared himself to the locker room. And guess what? The difference between him and Tim Tebow, the biggest one, is he can play. He can throw the ball. Tim Tebow running around being an H-back, he can throw the ball. And he's done everything he needs to do. He ain't saying nothing. He ain't rocking the boat. He ain't mad about the reps. He ain't mad about none of that. All the people out there want to see is this, like Tyler said earlier. We want to see what he can do with Jerry Jeudy.
That's it.
I want to see what he can do with David Njoku. I want to see him with Junkins. I want to see him with the first running backs. If you are cooking, if you are beating down the doors with the 3s and 4s, guess what? You deserve more. That was a bar. It rhymed. It was.
Remember when Mary Kay Cabot dropped that bombshell report saying Shedeur Sanders was the 4th string quarterback? The internet blew up faster than a Michael Bay explosion. Critics came out of nowhere, like ants at a picnic, rushing to call his NFL dreams dead on arrival. They claimed he was only shining against guys who'd either end up on practice squads or be out of the league by September. They pointed out he wasn't getting reps in 11-on-11 drills and said he needed to earn his way up the depth chart.
Dude, listen, the guy, all I can say is that he goes where the ball's supposed to go and it looks the way it's supposed to look. Mm-hmm. And when I hear that tells me it sounds like the Browns may have got a steal with Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round because I think he'll have a chance. I'm not saying he's going to be the starting quarterback in September, like week 1 or 2 or whatever it may be early in the year, but I think he's got a chance to develop into something that hopefully would preclude them from having to draft a quarterback first overall or top 5 next year.
Being said, I see some balls coming out of Shedeur Sanders at that game, and I'm like, kind of looks like a guy.
Yeah, I'm reading.
He can sling it.
I see him, some of the veterans, how they talk to him, mic'd up, see what he's doing in the community.
Yep. Talking about Njoku there?
Njoku, Mike Knapp. Yeah, once you see, different little interactions and things like that, I know he has the talent. We'll see. It'll be a competition that usually brings the best out of guys, especially young guys. So I'm interested to see how that quarterback situation.
I've heard he's been outstanding.
Funny how the tables have turned. Those same critics are now watching Sanders climb the depth chart like he's scaling Mount Everest with rocket boosters. The guy they wrote off is now the one they can't stop paying attention to. Every completion sends a message. Every perfect throw is a reminder that real talent doesn't stay hidden forever. And with every practice, he's showing that maybe, just maybe, the Browns stumbled upon their hidden gem.
One thing for the fans to sit here and hype up Shedeur Sanders because we all know how we get about certain players that we like. But it's another thing when you hear it from players who are actually on the field, who are actually in the locker room, who are actually next to this guy every single day. Because I'm sure we've all seen the quote by now by Chad Johnson when they were on the nightcap, and he talked to some young bulls. He talked to Denzel Ward. He didn't want to give away his name, but he already did it. And he said that Denzel Ward says he looks different from the rest of the competition. We've already been seeing.
When word got out that Shedeur Sanders officially moved up to second-team reps, passing Dylan Gabriel along the way, the shockwaves hit from Cleveland all the way to Canton. This wasn't just some small roster tweak, this was huge. One day he's throwing passes to practice squad guys, and the next he's running with the second team, putting real pressure on the starting quarterback spot. The promotion came after Sanders completely dominated minicamp, showing toughness, leadership, and total control on the field. His passes were right on target, hitting receivers in stride. His decision-making was sharp as a blade, and his grasp of the playbook had coaches nodding like proud parents at a school play. But this wasn't beginner's luck. It was steady, calculated execution that the coaching staff just couldn't ignore.
And I don't know, there was never no one thought he was this like malcontent or like a bag. It wasn't.
That was the word,
That was kind of what was being said. That was kind of what was being said.
No. The pre-draft process was so unorthodox that he didn't go through it all like everyone else did. And I think there's a lot that we can look back on this thing, especially if he becomes a star in this league, and say, you could point fingers in a million ways. Not having a pure agent, not having the workouts that everyone else did, going to these teams, not necessarily being as willing to throw the ball when asked at these the All-Star games, like that kind of stuff I think might have stung him, it might have turned teams off. But I know
when Stephen A. Smith starts singing your praises, that's when you know you've officially arrived. The ESPN personality, famous for his fiery takes and no-nonsense analysis, didn't just mention Sanders. He gave him the full Stephen A. treatment. He praised Sanders not only for his top-tier football skills, but also for the intangibles that separate the good from the great. This kid's mindset puts him ahead of the pack, Stephen said, with the confidence of someone who's seen enough football to spot greatness from a mile away. He pointed out Sanders' composure, mental toughness, and relentless drive to compete at the highest level. When Stephen A. says, "It's not just about throws and stats anymore," you better believe the whole football world is paying attention.
All this stuff wasn't made up. I covered the draft for ESPN. I'm sitting on the desk. It's Shefty, it's Mel, it's me, it's Lewis. I heard some of the same things that Deion Sanders is talking about. And S.A. and Cantor, you know this, we all have relationships. We all have people who tell us information, they help us prepare to do our job. I heard some of the same things. Some of these things weren't necessarily made up, at least I don't think, from the people that I trust who told me these things. And so
we have seen Shedeur Sanders take second team reps before, but today, interestingly, at least during one move the ball period, it was really one of the first move the ball periods that we've seen, the Browns actually had Shedeur Sanders go ahead of Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's earned it. And I think we've all seen that. He's done a really, really nice job with all of the things that the Browns have given him to do so far.
Big news out of Cleveland. Things have taken quite a turn. Mary Kay Cabot, who used to be one of Shedeur Sanders' biggest critics, is now giving him credit where it's due. She recently shared that Shedeur has officially moved up to take first-team reps at training camp, ahead of Dylan. According to Cabot, Shedeur didn't just land the spot, he genuinely earned it, showing real improvement and skill. This is a big shift in how Shedeur is being talked about, and it really speaks to his hard work and focus. Cabot now says he's no longer just a rookie backup, he's a real contender for the starting QB job. Head coach Kevin Stefanski has reportedly approved Shedeur for those first-team reps, which are expected to start next month. It's a big step forward, and a clear sign that Shedeur is ready to compete at the top level. As we get closer to the season, all eyes will be on Shedeur to see if he can lock in that starting role. But it wasn't always this way. Back during minicamp and OTAs, Cabot was one of his toughest critics. She constantly labeled him as a fourth-team quarterback and argued that he wasn't getting the reps he needed to show what he could do. For a while, she seemed like one of the only media figures not sold on his potential. While most of the coverage was backing Shedeur, Cabot stood firm in her doubts about whether he was truly ready.
The way it played out yesterday is the way that I thought it would, is that Shedeur right now is the fourth-team quarterback. He did not take any team reps yesterday. Sometimes there's misinformation that comes out of an OTA like that, but he just did not take any team reps. And not just that he wasn't the second guy or the first guy, he didn't take any 11-on-11s yesterday.
At one point, Mary Kay Cabot even claimed that Cleveland wasn't setting up Shedeur Sanders to compete for the starting role. In her view, Shedeur wasn't in line to start any preseason games, at least not yet. While he was holding it down with the fourth-team offense, Cabot highlighted that he wasn't being prepped the same way as Dillon Gabriel or the more experienced Kenny Pickett. According to her, the coaching staff hadn't given Shedeur the go-ahead to practice with the first-team unit, leaving a lot of people wondering what his actual role on the team would be. At that stage, it was obvious Shedeur still had a lot to prove. When Cabot was pushing the idea that Shedeur was stuck as the fourth-string QB, plenty of people pushed back, and Kimberly A wasn't having it. When she was asked whether Shedeur had been buried on the depth chart, she didn't hesitate. Kimberly shut the notion down completely. She said flat out that there was no way you could seriously put him in that spot. Anyone who thought Shedeur was being overlooked, she said, was just getting it wrong. According to Kimberly, it wasn't just unlikely, it was straight up inaccurate to say he wasn't being noticed. His skill, presence, and the way he played made it impossible to ignore him.
He's as old as Harry, and you're sending him out there against these guys. I don't like anything about it.
Extension because it hurts the team every way you look at it.
And then finally, Kmart. If I said Cleveland, are they making a mistake burying Shedeur Sanders on their depth chart?
Greeny, I don't think he's buried at all. I think it's so premature to even frame it like this. I understand the interest given the fact that there are 4 quarterbacks there, but to say a disservice is being done to Shedeur, I think is a bit.
Mary Kay Cabot didn't just stop at calling Shedeur a fourth-string quarterback. She kept doubling down. She even floated the idea that Deshaun Watson could return and take the first-team reps instead of Shedeur. Her comments came across like she was trying to downplay any momentum Shedeur was building, insisting that Watson would likely have the better shot at running the offense. It started to feel like she was more focused on finding ways to discredit Shedeur than acknowledging his progress. Even with his clear potential and steady improvement, Cabot kept pushing a narrative that seemed more about keeping him out of the spotlight than giving him a fair shot.
People kind of went crazy over something I wrote last week, that Deshaun's going to have a chance to come in and compete. I didn't say Deshaun was going to come in and be the starting quarterback, that it will be someone else. I don't know if it will be a rookie that they bring in. I don't know if it will be someone that is on someone's roster right now that they're going to try to trade for.
Mary Kay Cabot didn't hold back when talking about Shedeur Sanders after his ticketing incident. She openly questioned whether he had what it takes to be a true quarterback, calling the situation a serious red flag. Cabot didn't just mention the speeding. She pointed out that Shedeur was going a shocking 40 miles over the limit. She even claimed he was racing another driver who was clocked at 92 miles per hour, describing the whole thing as reckless and dangerous. Her coverage left no room for interpretation. "This isn't what you want from your quarterback," she said, framing the incident as more than just a traffic mistake. It was, in her view, a sign of deeper concerns about his maturity and leadership. But Shedeur's fans weren't having it. The backlash came quickly and loudly. As the criticism piled up, Cabot eventually shut off her comments, clearly seeing that the narrative she'd been pushing was falling apart. She started to realize that sticking to her stance would only hurt her credibility, especially with Shedeur continuing to prove himself. Recognizing that it's okay to change course when the facts do, Cabot finally gave Shedeur his due. She acknowledged his obvious talent and the progress he's made, fully backing him now as a key part of the Browns' quarterback picture. After everything, she had to face the reality. Shedeur Sanders was the real deal. She admitted he had pulled ahead of Dillon Gabriel on the depth chart and was now getting first-team reps. The work Shedeur had put in, the strides he made, and the undeniable skill he showed on the field couldn't be ignored anymore. Cabot came to terms with what had become crystal clear. Shedeur was a serious contender for the starting quarterback job. His moment had arrived.
Seen Shedeur Sanders take second-team reps before, but today, interestingly, at least during one move-the-ball period, and it was really one of the first move-the-ball periods that we've seen, the Browns actually had Shedeur Sanders go ahead of Dillon Gabriel.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's earned it, and I think we've all seen that. He's done a really, really nice job with all of the things that the Browns have given him.
Mary Kay Cabot even went so far as to say that Shedeur Sanders had left a strong impression every time he spoke to the media. She pointed out how his poise and maturity during interviews only added to his rising reputation, stressing that the Browns were taking everything into account. According to her, Shedeur seemed to stand out above every other quarterback on the roster. It was becoming more and more obvious that his progress wasn't limited to just what he was doing on the field. He was also stepping up as a leader off of it. Her change in tone showed just how hard it was to ignore Shedeur's impact and the potential he was starting to reveal in every part of the game. Shedeur Sanders has now shown, without question, that his skill and drive are the real deal. Even Cabot, once one of his harshest critics, has come around. His development as a player, his ability to exceed expectations, and the way he carries himself in front of the media have all helped shift the conversation. He started out being dismissed as a fourth-string quarterback, but Shedeur kept pushing, eventually moving ahead of names like Dylan Gabriel. Through strong showings during minicamps, OTAS, and the lead up to the season, he's proven he's ready for the spotlight. And it's not just Mary Kay who's flipped her stance. A lot of people who once doubted him are now among his loudest supporters, giving him credit for the growth he's shown and the potential he brings to the team. Shedeur's rise has been all about resilience. He's turned criticism into motivation, and that dedication has earned him respect. His progress isn't just about football, it's also about the leadership and maturity he's displayed along the way. As Shedeur keeps growing, it's clear he's not just another rookie, he's on track to become a breakout star. What do you think? Has Shedeur truly earned his spot as a starting QB contender, or is there still more work to do? Was Mary Kay right to change her opinion, or should she have stuck with her original take? What do you think was the turning point that flipped the script for Shedeur? And do you believe this support he's getting will keep building as the season goes on?